magic from him perhaps. It's a good ball. Racing. It goes towards Rumours. Brilliant save, it's in! Wolves have scored! Leicester City are in dreamland now!
Vardy in the middle. This could be a huge moment. Vardy scores! And it's pandemonium in Leicester.
Mahrez with his left, Albrighton with his right. It is Mahrez. It's a good ball in. Morgan's there. It's in. Leicester City score. It is a captain's goal from Wes Morgan, who lifted the Premier League trophy in May. He might have played a big part now in taking Leicester City through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Lift the trophy to the skies. Leicester City are the champions of the Premier League. 5,000 to 1.
Good morning and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for another Transfer Talk Live. We're going to be speaking about all of the wacky and crazy rumours going on in the world of Leicester City at the moment, and most of them unfortunately are outgoings, not incomings, but we are joined by our good friend Luke from Down Under. What's going on, mate?
Good, mate. How are you going?
All good, mate. All good. It's Luke's laughing along these days because he's not in the hot weather. He's a bit cooler these days in winter Australia, whilst we're sweating away, mate. So go on, tell the viewers you've been taking the piss out of all of us because you've been saying 30 degrees. Is that it? You bunch of pussies, basically.
Oh, bro, you're gonna come out swinging. All right, no worries. Well, listen, for starters, I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, but I'm from Perth, bro, where we get like 38. Not to have a dick measuring contest where it's like 38, 45. It can be in the summer. I don't want to hear this bullshit about 32 degrees. My dad's English, and he reckons that 32 over there, as you keep telling me, is like 40 here, but I reckon it's bollocks.
It's not bollocks, and I keep telling Luke that it's because we don't have aircon and our houses are built to retain heat. And they all face the sun as well. So it's pretty rough. I mean, I'm going to bring that comment out there from Buzz. He says 30 degrees without humidity in England is a nice, cool summer day in Oz. Yeah, but the problem is, I think I read today that the humidity today could hit 80%, which is a lot. So at the moment, though, there's a bit of cloud cover, so it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Also, before we get started, I want to ask Luke. Have you been in a room with John Rudkin or something, mate? Because you seem to have a bit of a belter on your eye there, mate.
Danny Ward just got married and he's come out in Australia for his honeymoon to dodge the heat, bro. And I just happened to cross paths and he lamped me in for all my slagging him off. No,
you should have just got with his wife. He would have been fine with that. He would have had no problems with you then.
Big wet Bangladeshi kiss. This is just from boxing. I box as well, so I've just got Doghouse. I got Shark Tank a few nights ago, sparring, and you should see the other guy. There's not a scratch on him.
Trust me, I've been trying to get a video off Luke of him boxing for months, and he just won't send it to me. So that is a shame. But anyway. Right, let's get into it, Luke. And everybody in the chat, please feel free to get your comments in throughout the course of the stream. I want to start by talking about Mads Hermansen, Luke. Now, this is one of the number one players that we thought would be leaving this summer. It has gone a little bit quiet. There was talk of Brentford being interested earlier in the window. They've now lost Thomas Frank, and they brought in Kelleher from Liverpool. So that seems dead. But the latest news on the block, and it is a loose source, and it's that West Ham are interested in Mads Hermansen, and we've heard that they're actually getting a couple of Bromby goalkeeper coaches, so they know Mads very well. Again, transfer market values are always off. It says around £20 million, Luke. Do you think Mads will definitely leave? Because we've been having a lot of chat on the channel recently about whether Jakub Stolarczyk will be a good number one for us next season. A lot of us do think so. Are you concerned at all about Mads leaving, or is it just you want a fair price?
I want a fair price. That's what bothers me more is I kind of had already accepted it. Even if we didn't get relegated, I think it would be safe to assume that Mads Hermansen still would have been leaving. What bothers me is we get a fair price. It's very rare that we get a shot stopper and someone that's as good as his feet as Mads Hermansen. As Manny's really already alluded to, he is world class in my opinion. Potential. He's very young. Goalkeepers have a much longer career. The ceiling for him is absolutely massive. And it's just unfortunate that we didn't get to see him play. See, like everyone that's just seen him in the Premier League that didn't watch last season is thinking, oh, it's just a good shot stopper. Whereas, in my opinion, last season, we barely seen him had to make shots, but we've seen how good he was as an extra centre-back, basically, high up the pitch under Enzo. So we've seen both facets of his game now in 2 seasons, and I think it's very, 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 very talented. So I just want a fair price. I think bare minimum 40 million, but we're not going to get that because we're now relegated.
Well, Buzz has said here, I was listening to Matt Piper on the When You're Smiling podcast, and he reckons historically we don't get rid of many players in a window. He thinks we may even stick with most of this squad just to get straight back up. I mean, this is the problem, Luke, right? When we got relegated and we talk about rebuilds and all of this, the problem is that the only players you're going to be able to get rid of quite easily are the good ones. And it's the dead wood that's left over. So like the likes of IU, Fas, Coady, you know, they're Decordova, Daka, they're going to be the hard ones to get rid of. The easy ones will be Mads, Bilal, you know what I mean?
And indeed, so those 3 are pretty much nailed on. We can all, hand on heart, probably gun to a head, probably safe to assume that they're going. And what the biggest question is, like West Ham, I don't think is like can offer him enough. What I really want to know is where Mads Hermansen's head there. He's always been professional. He's been respectful. Would he be happy of playing the championship if we did decide, as that comment there before said, just to hang on to him, just get back up? We all know Stalacic is well and truly good enough for a job as number 1. But the problem is, like, what does Mads want? Like, does he want an even bigger move than West Ham? Because to me, for him to move from us without sounding big-headed, I know we've been relegated and dross, but so is West Ham, and they're not offering European football. And I would hope that Mads Hermansen for himself would think of himself higher than he does if that's the case.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Ryan in the chat says, must sell. West Ham need a keeper. Chelsea needs an upgrade on what they have, and relationship with Maresca being key. I mean, they were going after, is it Mainan? Mainan. They were going after Mainan. No, they were going after Mainan from AC Milan before the Club World Cup. They haven't got that deal over the line. They could come back for Mads. I mean, that's the one that we've been saying for weeks and months, isn't it, Luke? That, he's going to go to Chelsea. He's going to join Enzo. Enzo will take him like he did with Dewsbury Hall. And you don't think so?
No, well, just look at how much money they've spent on what I know they've got money and they're spending it and they've taken the piss. But let's be real here. Like, how much did they spend on Jorgensen, the other Danish backup goalkeeper, and Sanchez? And I think they signed another one as well. I think they've spent like 100 million the last 3 seasons on goalkeepers. So no, I don't think they're going to spend an even more exorbitant amount of money to compile on top of that list they've already spent on keepers. I think it will be spent elsewhere.
Do you think we've got the better keeper? The better Danish keeper? Mads or Jorgensen?
No, easy. Mads Hermansen, 100%. You could, if it wasn't for respect and what the Schmeichels have done for Denmark, I'm sure Duck's got a heart on listening to this right now. You could already argue that Mads should be the number 1 goalkeeper for Denmark. I think after this next, what's it next? The World Cup or the Euros?
The Club World Cup.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, currently the loose rumours, like I said, are West Ham, Chelsea, and Man United. I mean, out of them 3, Luke, which one would you pick if you were Mads? Because Chelsea, there's a lot of competition, and a couple of bad performances, and he's probably out the team. West Ham, they could be in a relegation battle again next season, and Manchester United are just a mess. Would you stick at Leicester for another year, or? Because I actually think the club are going to want to get rid. I think the club are going to want to cash in. He's one of the biggest assets we have. Just like Harvey Barnes, just like Dewsbury Hall. I think they're going to want to cash in as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree. It's worth mentioning, at what point last season did we get rid of Castagna, Maddison and Barnes compared to where we're at this season? Because we're all talking about not hearing anything of incomings, but we've not heard of any goings whatsoever yet, really just small rumours. But look, of these 3 clubs here, to answer your question, Obviously, Chelsea's the easy answer because of the relationship with Enzo Maresca. I just can't see it happening for what I mentioned before. If he's going to go to those three, he may go to United because what's his name's been absolutely shocking since he's moved there.
Onana.
Onana's been shocking for him. Like he's the new walking meme.
He's shocking. I mean, Frankie says pretty sure some at Chelsea didn't want him because they classed him as small. I mean, I'm sure he's had that all his life, but we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen it with our own eyes. He's a top quality goalkeeper, and I would say his ceiling is much higher than any goalkeeper that's currently at Chelsea or Manchester United. There's another comment here as well from Declan McKenna, who says, Mads, you would go Chelsea easy. He would be the starter by week 10. Man United is still a poison chalice, and no disrespect, but he can do better than West Ham. I agree with that. I think we're in agreement with that. £20 million though, Luke. Again, that's what he's currently valued at. Like earlier in the season, and if we stayed up, maybe 35 million, maybe. But relegation tax is a real thing, and we could lose him for that fee, 20 million. Would you accept that now at this point? Would you take the £20 million and say thank you very much?
No way, man. He's on a 5-year deal. He's one that I would like do what we did to Riyadh, play hardball with him. If we are really genuinely ambitious of like keeping somewhat of a squad and coming straight back up, points deduction or not, I think we need to get every penny worth for him. I know we didn't spend much on him, but I think if he's on a 5-year deal, he's got 3 years left to go. 20 million's a piss take, relegated or not.
Azola said 10 days left for the board to decide whether Rude is going or staying. Well, if you believe the rumours, then Rude will be going and Sean Dyche will be coming in. They're the rumours at the moment, doing the rounds, and that it's a done deal. And on the 1st of July, that is what will be happening. Rude out and Dyche in. They're the current rumours, so we'll have to see if anything comes of that. Luke's eye, he sparring. He does a lot of boxing, old Luke, and yeah, that's what happened there. Okay, the next player I want to talk to you about, because I haven't spoken to you about it yet, Luke, Wilfred Ndidi, currently linked with Manchester United and Everton, which is an upgrade, mate. Well, I say an upgrade. At the time, I remember last season he was linked to Forest, who were still down fighting, relegation and things at the time. Now they're obviously a bit higher up. But Man United and Everton, Luke, £9 million release clause. Surely somebody is going to pay that for him. They didn't last time though, did they? He was available on a free and they didn't sign him. But this time there's a £9 million release clause, and I think he was one of the better players this season for Leicester. One of.
Yeah, still, I think for his age, his injury record, and we obviously need money. He's one that I 100% would sell, and I would take 10 to 15 million for him right now at this stage. Unfortunately,
well,
I think
the release clause is 9. The release clause is 9, so he could be going on the cheap. I mean, the thing with Wilf, Luke, is, when we were doing the watch-alongs and stuff at the end of the season, mate, there was it did seem like a goodbye. Like when Vardy finished that day, it also looked like Wilf was saying goodbye, and then Wilf didn't play in the last game of the season, like Vardy. Apparently he was ill, and Bilal El Khanous had personal issues, whatever that is. But do you think that is a goodbye, Luke? Do you think it? Because I think it's like 8 years now, 9 years he's been at the club. He's been a great servant. He's seen good times and bad times. Is it time to just start fresh without Wilf now?
Yep, it is time to start fresh. Wilfred, thank you very much for your service that you've been here, but it's time for him to move on, unfortunately. It's not a very good market value, in my opinion, the release clause. But hey, I was very worried he was going to be added onto that list of that £200 million that walked for nothing. So he did become one of our most expensive players, and we gave him that new deal. But at least we're going to get something for him. It's better than nothing.
I'm seeing all the comments coming in now about Dyche, 2-1 Dyche. Dyche ain't come in. Rob mentioned on Athletic he'll demand a hefty wage. And yeah, well, we'll see, Ryan, won't we? We'll see. Those sound like the exact reasons why the board might choose, and that's true. Dyche is 4 to 5 million in wages, apparently 4 to 5 million a year. Yeah, like I said, we'll have to say. I'm not saying Dyche is coming. I'm just saying they're the rumours at the moment. Luke, Jack said Wilf only stayed because no team would offer the wages Leicester did. That is probably the case. You know, Manny always talks about, oh, Wilf is so loyal and all of this. You know, he sucks off Wilf like every possibility, every possible chance Manny does. But like the facts are, Luke, that Leicester offered more wages than anybody else. Otherwise, he would have gone somewhere. Somebody would have taken Wilf on a free. Somebody would have, and they didn't.
I reckon we sucked him off to sign a dotted line for that new contract. I reckon Leicester City, like Rodkin probably groveled, like, please, man, we can't let anyone else go for nothing. We know you're going to want to move after a season. We'll give you what you want, give you your release clause. Just sign this so we can at least get something for you when you do decide to go. That's 100% how literally, like, before the season even started, how I imagined the whole thing happening. Like, obviously, I'm putting a spin on it for a laugh, but, like, that's seriously what I thought. I thought they would have just done anything they possibly could to not let another player walk for free.
Yeah, well, at least we'll get 9 million. At least we'll get 9 million this time round. I think that's probably the only way they could get him to sign, right? They gave him a relegation release clause, and there we go. And obviously, with relegation, he can leave. I want to talk next, Luke, about, again, another player that we've spoken about quite a lot recently, and this one is gaining more traction as the days go on. Rangers are linked with Connor Coady quite heavily, mate. Also Wolves too. Wolves are interested as well. Oh, mate, I just don't want to see this guy starting in the back line for Leicester City next season. I don't care if they give us 500 grand, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever. He's currently valued at around 3.5, 4 million, which is half of what we paid for him. Are you in agreement? Just get rid. 32 years old. 26 games last season, a bag of shit.
Bag of shit, get him gone. He can go do podcasts for someone else at Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, are you surprised that Russell Martin wants him at Rangers? Because maybe they just see a deal, right? Maybe they just see an experienced player, with Premier League experience. He's played in Europe before. He's been with England. But, like, he's not really a playing out from the back kind of centre-back, as we've seen. So are you surprised that Russell Martin wants him?
Maybe it's just because he's been coached under Enzo. I'm not sure. It is experience. I am very surprised. He'd be partnered up with Suter's brother. Suter's brother plays for Rangers as a centre-back pairing. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But no, I don't think he goes to Rangers, even, to be honest with you. I feel like we're going to be stuck with him. I don't think anyone's going to want to pay even half the wages that we're paying him. Scotland's not known for paying big wages at all.
Yeah, I did think that. I mean, Jack said there's a year left, so this is going to be our only chance, Luke, at actually getting some coin for him. Yeah, in Scotland, Cody's like Maldini, yeah. No, a year left though, Luke. Like, in a year's time, he's going to walk away on the free. So it's either, let's say, 3-4 million now, or 0 in a year. Do you know what I mean? So, there's another comment here from JB who says, for PSR reasons, we will need a good few mil, as if we sell, it'll put us in the minus. So, would you just take what you can this season for him?
I'll take a cut and a piss for him right now at this point. I'll take anything. Yeah, anything. Just give us something to go against. I've got on the books. I don't want him to even be a squad option next season. That's taken away the shine of someone younger that's going to step up and have a future at the club. It's redundant, in my opinion, to have him playing for us.
So who would your back line be next season out of the players at the club now?
Obviously,
of course, we want another one, right? We want somebody else, I'm sure. But with what we have at the club now, what would you do?
Whether we want to admit it or not, we've got people going to have to keep the squad options. We can't just keep 2 centre-backs and hope that they can play the busy schedule that is the championship fixtures twice a week. So, in my opinion, starting, it would be a Coley and Nelson next season. And I would have Suter, if we can't move him on, as a squad option to be able to rotate in games if need be. That is my safest bet. I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of Vestergaard, so he's probably realistically another squad option too. But if we're to get rid of Vestergaard and get rid of Coady and keep those lads. Maybe promote someone else from the youth.
I mean, JB says backline of Ricardo, Suter, Nelson, and JJ. I mean, I would have a Coley over Suter, but that's dependent on if he leaves or not, right? Like, I actually think I would be surprised if a Coley's here next season, Luke. Like, I think he's, he didn't set the Premier League alight. Of course he didn't. But I think he's good enough for the championship. And I think Coady's definitely better than Suter. In my opinion, Coady is a better centre-back than Suter.
He's faster. He can be better on the ball. He just wasn't given enough time and enough consistent games, in my opinion, to be able to develop. And I think the championship is the best place to develop for someone in your young 20s to take that next step if it is in your wheelhouse or your ceiling is to trajectory to go up. So, in my opinion, he should stay for one more season. It'd be really telling that he comes to one season and pissed off straight away how bad things really are. This is what I'll say this before we move on. I don't want to see Luke Thomas be a fullback. I think he can, in my opinion, because we've seen him playing back 3 times under Rude, I would actually use Thomas as a centre-back, worst case scenario, over a fullback. That's my crazy hot take.
Sorry, say that one more time.
If we had to get rid, right, let's say that we got rid of Vestergaard and we got rid of Coady, but we couldn't bring anyone else in, I would use Luke Thomas as a squad option centre-back, not a fullback. That's my hot take. He's not fast enough to be a fullback, in my opinion. He's not good enough on the ball.
I mean, I agree with that. I just don't want him in there at all. I don't want him in the back line.
But we can't just have only 2 centre backs and be like, yeah, that'll do. Should be right.
No, I hear what you're saying. Let me just bring this comment up. Here we go. So I'd use Hamza as a centre back over Thomas. What do you think to that?
That's red card territory there. That scares me. No.
So you'd rather Thomas as a centre-back over Hamza?
Yes.
Wow. That I ain't gonna lie, Luke. That's kind of crazy, mate. That's kind of crazy.
No, because, yeah, I know, but like Thomas is used to defending and man marking, whereas Hamza, he just chases the ball relentlessly. He's got energy, but he's not going to be disciplined enough, and we know he's got a brazen challenge in him. Look, I am not campaigning for what it's worth for Luke Thomas to be a centre-back. I'm just saying.
Just to Dimma Maghreb, whatever your name is, please stop spamming that. Otherwise, I will time you out. You don't need to keep asking. We're going to talk about him soon. Relax. So the bozo moments Luke Thomas will bring at centre-back. I mean, I personally think out of what's at the club at the moment, I would say Woyo. Oh, see, we've got Ricardo then. You just don't think about Ricardo, do you? Because I think Ricardo's going to stay. You don't. And if he does stay, you're eating a ghost chili pepper live on stream. So have that.
That's why you think he's going to stay, because you're trying to convince yourself. You're breaking it. Don't bullshit. You're 100%.
No one's going to pay for him. No one's paying for him. No one's going to pay for Ricardo when he's got a year left, in my opinion. I think we'll just have a gentleman's agreement. We'll shake his hand. He goes next summer. But yeah, I think it will be... Ricardo, Nelson, Coady, and then it's either Woyo or JJ. I like JJ at left back. I'm a fan of JJ at left back. But we haven't seen enough of Woyo, right? I want to see Woyo given a chance. That's one thing, right? I want Woyo to be given a chance. And the good thing about JJ and Woyo is they can play left back and right back, very versatile. And if anybody tries to tell me that James Justin isn't good enough for the championship, suck on my middle finger, because that's not true. That's just not true. JJ is good enough to play in the championship. But we could cash in on him as well. That's the point as well that JB has put in the chat. We could cash in on JJ if there is anybody out there who wants to pay for him. Just finally on this discussion, Boz says Ricardo, JJ, Woyo, Ricardo, JJ, Woyo, Aluko should be our 4 fullbacks. Would you agree that, Luke? Aluko, young lad coming through. He played in the last game against Bournemouth, of course. You want to see him given a chance, or would you send him out on loan?
No, I spot on agree. For everything that is just mentioned there, and what I mentioned before is why that I don't want to see Luke Thomas playing at fullback. I think all of those options are better than Luke Thomas, and if we had to use him for something, it's either centre back or get rid, or not this loan out piss. Like just get gone for whatever we can get for him.
Yeah. Planet Earth says the same back 4 that won us the championship. What? That's what you want, or what you think we'll have, Planet Earth? If you want a back line of Vestergaard and Faze, crikey. Although proof is in the pudding, they're good enough. Buzz says Luke Thomas at striker. Who says no? Me. Everybody says no to that. Right. The next player I want to talk to you about is the big one. And it is Mr. Bilal El Khanous. Now, before we talk about rumours and stuff like that, Luke, just talk to me, mate. Talk to me about Bilal El Khanous. What you think of him as a player? How much you like him? Because I know there's been many times this season that you've had a bit of an erection over him on the pitch.
I've definitely glazed him a little bit. I really enjoyed listening to your Foxes then when you were all talking about, the possibility of him staying. I can't see it happening, although I do think he would absolutely walk the league. Like, everyone would bend the knee to Bilal. It would be good for his ego, but I think that he's going to want more. He's going to want European football potentially. In my opinion, that's well and truly his ceiling. He's a very, very good player. He's intelligent. He drops back. He defends. He puts tackles in. He's a playmaker. He scans the pitch. He picks out the right pass. His finishing work definitely needs some work. But to be honest, we've still seen glimpses of absolutely exceptional shots from him. Some beautiful goals. His stats don't absolutely set the world on fire. So if you're not watching him week in, week out, and you were to just look at him stats-wise, you'd think, that's not that great. I'm not going to spend this much money. So maybe we could keep him for another season. I just doubt it, unfortunately.
Well, this is the rumour. This is the rumour that has come out recently, because we've seen that he's been linked with Wolves as a possible Mateus Cunha replacement, and then he's also loosely been linked to Arsenal as well, who are always, I'm sure, looking to add to their creativity. But it is this one here, and it's according to EFL analysis, Bilal El Khanous' price set at 40 million. The Foxes are reportedly holding firm on their asking price. Some reports suggest they've set the budget at around 40 million, leveraging his long contract and the absence of a relegation clause. Now, this contradicts what we heard earlier from John Percy and also Sasha Tavalier, whatever his name is, over in Italy. They both said he's got a release clause. John Percy said he's got a relegation release clause, and Sasha said his relegation release clause is 20 million, in that range. This report from EFL Analysis contradicts that. The price tag is obviously there as 20 because of the rumoured release clause. There's a comment here, mate, from Buzz, who says, I think his release clause is BS. LCFC don't like to put release clauses since Kante got his release clause activated by Chelsea. Now, this is true, and Rob Tanner said it the other day on Jack's channel that the club don't want to do release clauses. However, if you remember last season, last summer, when we were scrambling around for a creative player, we were looking at Matthias Sula, we looked at Reece Nelson, we ended up with Bilal El Khanous, you could argue the best of the three. The problem is, Luke, that maybe the only way we convinced him to come to Leicester, like Ndidi last summer, is if we put in a relegation release clause. Now, that's not impossible, that's not an impossible scenario. That is quite likely if you've got a player that's highly rated, come into a team that's going to be fighting relegation, they put in a release clause. Also, his mum was his agent during the deal, which is quite funny. You can just imagine John Rudkin sat in a room with Bilal's mum. But what do you think, mate? Let's say he doesn't have a release clause. How much money, as a relegated club, do you think we could demand from buyers this summer for him?
I think it's going to be in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 million. I like that if these reports are true, it's probably just agent talk. Obviously, we want to stand strong with this one. We want to generate some competition so we can get as much possible value for him with other teams, because there's going to be a lot of clubs that are going to be interested in him. They're going to see this as slim pickings. Let's say, hypothetically, Arsenal, okay, listen, we want to give you 20 million, and we're hoping that John Rudkin has like half a brain left, can be like, look, brother, I'm going to be honest. If United have already offered us 25 million for him, give us 26 now, and he's yours. If not, don't worry about it. We'll sell him to someone else. You got to go full car salesman on him, bro. You got to be ruthless of this. You got to bullshit a little bit. We got to get every penny we can for him to go against books. And there was a comment up here that I'll find it because I actually spot on agree. It's someone saying that it would be good to keep him, but move him on because we want to see Alves and Monga in that position rotating during the championship to get the best development possible out of our homegrown talent.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, from Declan. Bilal is insane, but with PSR, is it worth selling and allowing the youth such as Will Alves and Monga to step up into that role? Well, I think it depends on the fee, doesn't it, right? Because I don't think anybody, I don't think there's many Leicester fans out there that, think the contrary, that in the Championship he would destroy it. And I think he would. I think if any team that has Bilal in their team next season in the Championship is likely to get promoted. I think he's that important. And as we said on Fox's Den, Luke, if I was Leicester and I really wanted him to stay, I would probably sell the argument about Dewsbury Hall, how he dropped down to the Championship and he destroyed the league. And a year later, he's playing in Europe and he's won a European competition with Chelsea. You know, that would be my argument. That would be my sell to Bilal El Khanousi if I was trying to keep him. Because Wolves and Arsenal. Let's say Arsenal don't make an offer, and this summer the only real interested party is Wolves. Next season, after a year in the Championship, it could be Chelsea, it could be Manchester United, it could be Liverpool, it could be Man City that want him.
I spot on agree. That's a great pitch. Like, I like to think about that as well. Like, even very similar to Mongo would have been the same thing. Look at all these great players that spent a season in the Championship and look what they are now for the development. You're going to get a lot of football. You're going to play a lot of games. You're going to be better. And because you're going to be bossing the ball, you're going to get more and more confident playing all these games, being a level above everyone. So when you come up to the Premier League or whether it be the top flight football somewhere else abroad, you're going to be feeling proper confident. So I think that's a great pitch and a great argument. I just can't see it happening. To close it out, I think my opinion, like, let's say his market value is 20 and we can get 25 with a sell-on clause because he's quite young and the chances are he's going to get pinched in 3 to 4 seasons, possibly from another team for a bigger fee. So if we're smart, and unfortunately Rodkin's not demonstrated that he is, that's how I would be running it. Get 25 million for him, sell-on clause, move on. Good luck to you, Bilal.
Ryan does say, I'd say Wolves would be the best destination. Fast deal, logical fit, Premier League continuity. Arsenal unlikely, as he'll just be a squad player. He was also linked with Fenerbahce at one point, but he's not going to go Turkey, is he? He can do better than that, can't he?
Yeah, he can, but if he's got, like, Fenerbahce have got European football, he might fancy it. Who knows? Like, going to Wolves would be crazy. If that's career suicide for him, in my opinion, that would be stupid.
Yeah. Just to offer some information on the scatter report. Somebody's asked for it there. It does depend on what country you're in, Hamza. Unfortunately, some of the clips were banned. Some of the clips that we played, I think it was the Spanish leagues. Copyright rules and all of that in some regions and countries, you can't watch it, unfortunately, I'm afraid. But we will be back next week with the Defenders one on Tuesday. I think Luke's going to be there for that one, so he best get his scouting head on and find some defenders that aren't Vestergaard or Fass. And yeah, we'll make sure that one doesn't get taken down. Right. I wanted to actually, before we move on, let me just bring this comment up here from Scott Chapman. He says, I'd maybe offer him a new contract, same wage, but with a non-promotion release clause of like 20 million because it's guaranteed promotion and it might convince him to stay. That's one way to do it, Luke, isn't it? I don't know. I'm just so... Yeah, I'm just quite... I'd love him to stay, Luke, but as we said with Hermanson, at this point, it maybe is just better for the club, financially, PSR, all of that, to make the sale and reinvest it, right?
I'd love for him to stay, but yeah, going back to the other comment before, it gets in the way of the development of Monga and Alves. I think it's just best for him to move on. Like, again, if he stays... I'd love that, but I don't think anything's guaranteed, even if he does stay. We still don't know how many points we're going to get deducted. We don't know what players are going to go. I think that for the reasons that mentioned before about him having personal reasons, not been there for the last game, I think he's going. He's been respectful. He's been to the badge and everything. I like him and I wish him well. There'll be no hard feelings for me if he leaves. I just think it's we're basically bent over a barrel here at the EFL and Premier League.
Right, the last player I want to talk about, and it's not really an outgoing. Well, it is an outgoing, but he's already gone. And it is Mr. Jamie Vardy, again, another Leicester player over the age of 30, who's linked with Rangers. What do you think, Luke? We've spoken about this a lot on the channel over the last couple of months since he announced he was leaving. Jamie Vardy, I mean, again, I keep saying it and saying it and saying it. I want him to go to the MLS. That's where I think he should go. Him and the family, go to America, LA, Miami, New York, wherever you want to go. But he's linked to fucking Rangers in Scotland, man.
I love it. That's the best option for me. Imagine the shithousing he would do in the Glasgow Derby when he plays Celtic and he goes to the Celtic fans and winds them up. I hate Celtic. They are the most scumbag fucking team in the whole world. IRA roots, everything. They are pieces of shit. I hate fucking Celtic. If you're a Celtic fan in this chat, go do one. Man, I would love nothing more than him to go to Rangers and shit stir the Celtic fans. It would be fucking cracker. So yeah, no, I like that move. The MLS is garbage. That's there's no atmosphere there. They're like Man City home fans. It'd be horrible. He'd better be on a Rangers. At least you got some atmosphere there.
What about the Premier League? Do you think, because he was there were talk of like Leeds and Arsenal and some of these teams, Man United. I think Crystal Palace were there was talk of that. I don't want to see him in the Premier League, mate. I feel like it would be very weird as a Leicester fan seeing Vardy playing for another English team in the league above us.
I would hate it. I can't see it happening, unfortunately, because of his age. Maybe as a squad option if he's at peace with that, but I think he's going to want to go somewhere where he can play football, to be honest with you. So I think that I can totally see the Rangers happening. The shithousing, everything, it would be in English football. The shithousing would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, I reckon it'd be good.
Do you think, there's a comment here from, let me bring it up, from JB, Vardy and Coady to bring the SPFL to the years. Do you, are they, because I don't watch much Scottish football, and people in the chat help us out here. Are they two like top signings? You think Coady and Vardy to Rangers? Are they signings that could bring them closer to winning the title? Do you think?
Yes, and the most important thing is if Vardy goes to Rangers, everyone that's not a Leicester fan, everyone's got a soft spot for Vardy. They love the shithousing. They love the story of House winning the Premier League and they're 11 at 7.
And Brendan's at Celtic, so you know what I mean. Brendan Rodgers is at Celtic, so
what a scumbag he is. I think that they would generate money and revenue just purely signing Vardy alone and shirts and stuff like that. I think he'd be a popular player over there. I think that's a great move for him.
Yeah, let's see what the comments are saying. So Alex says, regarding Coady, he has a year left on high wages, but for example, if Rangers offer him a 3-year deal on half the wages, he might be tempted to take the security plus another signing on fee. Kunal says, wouldn't mind Vardy going to Palace. They would need squad options for Europe. Can also beat Owen's Premier League goals. Without a doubt, mate, if Vardy stayed fit, he'd get 20 plus goals in the SPL. Locks, look at Edward. That says enough. Yeah, Edward banged the goals in at Celtic, didn't he? That's true. Dallas Fox says, how much will Vardy play if he stays in Europe? MLS will provide more opportunities to play and score. Yes, but I don't think it really matters, does it? Because I think Vardy would rather, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Vardy would rather play 15 games in the Premier League than 35 in MLS. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's how I see it.
I think Vardy wants something with energy, man. Like, he feeds off shithousing. He's not going to get that in the MLS. He's just not going to get that. He might like the lifestyle over there, moving over there with his wife and kids, and maybe that's an appeal. But in my opinion, he stays somewhere in the UK, and it's most likely. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be, but I cannot see him going to the MLS. I just can't.
Yeah. Spain, maybe. Spain might be a good fit. Spain. Yeah. Imagine him in Turkey, because he likes going on holiday to Turkey. Imagine him in Turkey under Jose Mourinho. But that would be class, I think. Vardy under Jose, and then just quickly there from Planet Earth, no away fans to wind up. Just before we end, Luke, let me ask you, mate. We touched on it at the beginning, and I want people in the comments to give their say as well. And I ask this on a lot of streams at the moment. What do you think now, with the lack of news and the lack of communication and the lack of rumours? What do you think is going to happen with the manager? We're 10 days away, 11 days away from the 1st of July, where everyone's saying, oh, the 1st of July, it's the big special day where we're going to hear something. What do you think is going to happen?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I was at first I was starting to think Rude's going to stay, but now that Brian Barry Murphy's gone, I think he's definitely the writings on the wall. He is leaving. It's just stupid to me that we haven't got someone like. Do we have someone lined up, or have we got someone that we in mind, like role that we want, and we're going to throw all our eggs in one basket, not get him in panic and appoint Deitch last minute? That's probably the most likely outcome. I'm starting to stress that it is Deitch. I'm starting to give into these conspiracy theories. Very alarming to go from. This shows where we are as a club. To go from Enzo Maresca football to Steve Cooper to Ruud van Nistelrooy back to Deitch. Deitch ain't going to play Monga. Deitch is not going to play all the physical players. He's going to play the likes of Ayew and all the slow players. That's going to be hideous for development of our youth. Oh my God, the horror if he comes. Emergency stream, panic, meltdown from Luke. If that
there's gonna be a lot of meltdown, mate. There's gonna be a lot of meltdown
there you go.
Yeah, I think you've lagged. But it's all good. It's all good because we're going to end there. Thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us and getting your comments in over the course of the stream. This Transfer Talk Live. We'll be back in a couple of days with more of that. Also, apparently, Roll can leave Sheffield Wednesday at the end of the month if he's not paid. Don't know how true. I did see this, Luke, that the players, if they're not paid again, they can leave and walk away from their contracts. So imagine if Danny Roll is the same. If Danny Roll is not paid at the end of June, potentially he could walk away from his contract and Leicester could get him on a free. So there's food for thought.
Just quickly, sorry, mate. This business of it would cost a lot to get his back staff in. We haven't even got staff for Rude, man. We can't just have like a manager and no one else. We've got to get staff in anyway for Deitch or whoever it may be. So that's bollocks. And I think it's like a 3 or 4 million release. I don't know, man. I just think it's more important that if we are going to breach, or we're going to breach anyway, and we can't generate that money because it's impossible, then a manager is more important to me with a future and a brand in mind. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, I agree. Right, we're going to end it there. Cheers, Luke. Thanks, mate, for joining me. Much appreciated. Thanks to everybody in the chat as well. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit subscribe. And we will see you very, very soon. Cheers all. Bye-bye. Thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football and bingo and combining them into one brilliant app. Make sure to get your bingo card for any Leicester game in the upcoming season by clicking the link in the description or via the QR code on screen.